boys and girls. My name is Angela, and I get to tell you the Bible story today. So, our story today is about a man named Abraham. Now, I understand that you're learning all about cooking and hospitality and sharing your food with others. And so, this is a really awesome story to show you a special thing that can happen when you choose to share your time and your love with others. So just think about that. What do you think that special thing is going to be when we get to the end of the story? All right, so the story is about a man named Abraham. Now you've probably heard of the man named Abraham maybe because of the song where you sing, Father Abraham had many sons, had Father Abraham. Now that song actually is kind of funny because Abraham was promised a son, but it took a very long time for him to ever get that promise. You see, it took over 100 years before Abraham ever saw his promised son. And Abraham had kind of got discouraged when he was 99 because he was tired of waiting. You think that it's hard to wait sometimes when mom says just to wait for supper, right? No snacking in between meals. But imagine waiting 99 years for something that you were promised. And so Abraham had tried to have his son his own way, and that didn't go so well. And so he was kind of discouraged, but he was still remembering that God had given him a promise. Well, one day, he was sitting outside under some trees because it was a hot day. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love to sit out under the trees when it's a hot day. And so Abraham was out there just enjoying the shade when all of a sudden he saw three strangers coming down the road, and quickly he got up and he was said to them, "It's a hot day, please come sit under the tree with me and I'll get you some water and food." And so the three strangers sat down, and Abraham rushes to go get some water to clean their feet. You see, in those days they had sandals or bare feet, and they're walking on the ground, so their feet got pretty dirty. And it's not very usual for the master of the house to clean their feet, but that's what happened. Abraham quickly, he was the one. He washed their feet, made sure they were comfortable, and then he ran inside the tent and he said, "Sarah, we have some guests. Will you prepare some cakes for them?" And so she starts preparing 3 cakes for the 3 strangers. And then Abraham runs to the field and grabs a cow in order to have some meat. And a servant prepares the cow. And so then Abraham brings the meat and the bread to the 3 strangers, and they eat. And they're having a wonderful conversation. And as they're sitting there, one of the strangers ask, "Where's your wife Sarah?" And Abraham said, "Oh, she's in the tent." And Sarah was listening because she wasn't that far away in the tent. And the stranger said, "You remember the promise that was made to you, the promise about the son? Well, that promise is still going to come true." And Sarah now is really old, and so she says, and she laughs, "There's no way she could have a baby at this age. She's far too old to have a baby," she thinks to herself. But then the stranger says to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh?" And all of a sudden Sarah realizes, how did he know that I laughed? And she comes out, "I didn't laugh." And the Lord said, "Yes, you did." The Lord. See, one of the strangers was actually the Lord. Yeah, there wasn't just 3 strangers walking down the road. There were 2 angels and the Lord himself. And so when Abraham had got up quickly to wash their feet, he was actually washing the feet of God. Isn't that awesome? And angels' feet too. And he also fed food, his own food, to the Lord and the angels. Because the Lord wanted to encourage Abraham and said, "That promise that I made for you all those years ago, I meant it. Now, it might not be coming true when you wish it could come true. In fact, it might take a whole lot longer than you ever dreamed. But if you trust me, when I promise something, it will come true." So Abraham and the Lord and the 2 angels continued to have some other conversations. In fact, they were talking about a very wicked and evil city, Sodom. And they were talking about how they wanted to show love and mercy. But the conversation, unfortunately, if you remember the way the story ends, Sodom gets burned because nobody wanted love and mercy in the city. But it all started because Abraham wanted to entertain and wanted to provide hospitality for three strangers that were walking down the road. There's a wonderful promise that we have too. Maybe you haven't been promised by God for a snack between lunch and supper, or maybe you haven't been promised that dessert that you're longing for, but we have been made this one promise, many promises, but especially this one. It's in Hebrews 13, verse 2. And it says, "Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by so doing, some have unknowingly entertained angels." So when you're learning how to cook today, think about some guests that you could have over. Maybe some neighbors that you know live all alone. Maybe some church members that you know that live alone. One of my favorite things on Sabbath was when my mom would have guests over for Sabbath lunch. I loved having people over, and the talks and the conversations that you have around the table are so much fun as you're sitting there eating some great food. So if you sit down with Mom and you say, "Mom, I'll help you make some food," I bet she'd love to have some people over. And then you can be the special host just like Abraham and be a hospitable host where you take care of your guest. And someday, as you continue to reach out to people around you, maybe someday you too will not even know that you didn't just entertain a homeless man, but maybe you entertained an angel. Pretty special. So enjoy learning how to cook. Enjoy thinking of all the wonderful people that you could have over, and enjoy a meal with them. Such a special thing to do is to eat with people. And also, every time you sit down and have that meal with Mama and Daddy, thank them for the special time they're spending with you, because there's nothing more special than sitting down, having some good conversation and laughs, and sharing food together. Bye!